Hey beauties, welcome back. So today I'm pretty excited to be filming. Not only am I going to be playing in makeup with you guys, but I'm also going to be doing a full face of drugstore products, which I feel like I haven't done in a while here on my channel. So I'm happy to be doing that today. Now I did make it a point to go out to Ulta and try to see what they had that was new that I was pretty interested in trying, or old favorites that I know I used to use a lot back in the day, but kind of just haven't touched. So I purchased some new things, not a lot. I wasn't able to find everything that I wanted to, but I did get a couple of new things. So not only will you see me using products I've used continuously on my channel, but I'm also incorporating some of the new stuff that I did find. Sometimes I feel like I get wrapped up in what's trending and what's new, and half of the time it's like high-end prestige beauty products, which I'm all about, but I'm also about saving a coin and being able to feel good and look good on a budget. So I hope you guys enjoyed today's video, and with all of that, we're just gonna jump right into it and get started. So as you guys can see, my hair is clipped out of my face and I'm ready to start. Now normally I would go in with the NARS Soft Matte Concealer to prime my lids. You guys know that's my go-to, my holy grail. But since this is drugstore, I am just going to take my e.l.f. concealer. This one is the original in Tan Sand, and I'm just going to use this to prime my lids today. I don't really use eyeshadow base, and honestly I was looking for the Revolution eye base and I could not find it for the life of me, so we're just gonna have to settle on concealer for today. I have never used this concealer before to conceal my lids, but I'm interested in seeing what it does. Now, as we all know, the e.l.f. concealer is full coverage underneath the eyes, so I expect nothing less on the lids, and it did cover and cancel out the lines and all of that on my eyelids pretty well, so I'm pretty happy with that. And it set down pretty nicely as well. I am going to set them with a little bit of powder, which I will be using later as well to set my under eyes and all that good stuff. But I'm just going to take a little bit and just tap it over my lids just to set it all down. Now that the lids are nice and set, we can move on to eyeshadow. Now I did want to make it a point to choose a palette that I feel like is easily accessible, meaning you guys can just go into Ulta and purchase this palette. So the palette of choice for today is the ColourPop Nude Mood palette, and if you guys look inside, it is the perfect palette for fall. Now, I couldn't quite decide when I was picking palettes, so I do have two other ones that I may dabble into, but this is the main palette that we will be using today. So I'm first gonna grab this shade up here called Bare to Wear, which is like a nude, kind of neutral tone shade, and I'm just going to brush this in my crease. Now this shadow doesn't show up too much for me, but again, it's just going to serve as our transition shade and just help blend everything else out. So something light, nothing too intense. Now we're gonna dip into All Natural, which is this shade right here. And I'm gonna take it on the same exact brush. I'm also gonna tap into Mugged Off, which is a little bit different in tone. And I'm gonna mix the two and start buffing it on the outer corner first, and then slightly into the crease. And I'm basically just using circular motions to do this. When you're applying these shadows, do not be afraid to like really dig deep into the pan and pack that eyeshadow on there. Not that it's not pigmented, but it definitely helps the pigmentation a lot more if you just really pack it on there and then blend it out. It's okay because we are doing our eyeshadow first, that if we do get any fallout, we can just clean it up before we move on. So just dig deep and go in because it's much, much better. If you need to, do not hesitate to go in with a clean blending brush and just really smooth everything out and just make sure everything's blending the way that you need it to. Sometimes using a different brush aside from the brush that you're constantly dipping into shadow is better for this step, just so that everything is nice and blended, nice and seamless, you know? So for me, I want to add a little bit more like depth to this whole look. We do have the option of using Moody in the palette, which is this brown right here. This is like the darkest brown in this palette. So I'm gonna take that, but I'm gonna take it on an M506, which you guys know between this, the M507, these are really good brushes to kind of have in your collection. This is like a staple for me. I do not do my makeup half the time, like 99.9% of the time without this brush. So with this, I'm just going to kind of like shade that darker brown shade. Shade the darker brown shade. I'm making no sense. I'm putting the darker brown shade on the outer part of the upper lid and just kind of blending it out. This is creating a little bit of depth, a little bit of definition, and I'm going to take it up into the crease but not above the crease. And I'm really just going to use nice circular motions just to make sure this is nice and blended. So you guys see this eye in comparison to this one has a little bit more definition. It's a little bit more defined, but we're not gonna stop there. However, I am gonna do the same thing to the other eye before I obviously move on. So as you can see, this is kind of like one little look that you could do with the palette, but I am gonna do something I have not done yet before. And I'm gonna actually take the chocolates from Juvia's Place, which you guys know I'm obsessed with, and I have said before this is like the perfect palette for fall. It's also available at Ulta, but it may or may not be readily available, so you can definitely purchase online, or you can just go to Juvia's Place website and purchase this. But I want to take the darker brown in here and kind of create like a faux winged liner. So to do that, I'm gonna need an angled brush, of course. So the one I'm gonna use is from Morphe. This is their M518. And obviously it has a spoolie on the other end, which would be great if you were doing like your brows. But I'm actually gonna use this for the liner or my winged liner. And I'm gonna take that shade and I'm just gonna start carving out a winged line. This is basically what I have. Now you could absolutely just leave it like that. I mean, obviously fill it in a little bit more. You could also choose to smoke it out. And by smoke it out, I mean just grabbing that same M506 or M507, whichever one you have, and just run a little bit of extra shadow through it, but also rough it up, if that makes any sense. And just kind of smoke it out here. Now that we have everything nice and blended, I want to go into the Juvia's Place palette once more, and I'm going to take this shadow right here and I'm going to actually place that on the inner part of my lid just to kind of set that concealer a little bit more. Yes, we use translucent powder to set it, but I also want to add a little bit of natural color. So I'm just going to run this right in here. And if you want, you can kind of carve it out as you put it on, as if you would do concealer, but you don't actually need concealer to do this. You can just use this shadow. I would love to see the look come together a little bit more, but as of right now, I'm gonna stop applying the eyeshadow. Obviously, we will do the lower lash line a little bit later on, but I am gonna clean up any fallout that I have underneath my eyes and just kind of shape this outer part of my eye, and then we can move on to the base makeup. So I went ahead and cleaned up underneath my eyes, but I also took off the concealer that was on my blemishes, as you guys can see. So now we are going to move into priming the skin. I am going to use 3 different primers. The first one is from Wet n Wild. This is their 3-in-1. So it's a primer, a refresher, and it's also a setting spray. Today we're just going to use it to prime. So I'm going to spray my face generously. I really do love that as a primer and also to set the makeup down. I just always refer back to my full face of Wet n Wild that I did. I was really impressed with that spray. It was a different scent. This one is in cucumber, but they all pretty much do the same thing. They just smell differently. Now I'm gonna go in with my second primer, and it is from e.l.f. This is the Jelly Pop Dew Primer. You guys know this is like a dupe for the Milk Makeup Hydro Grip. So I'm gonna use this just to grip my makeup, and I'm gonna put this all over my face and just kind of rub it in. And then lastly, as a not mattifying primer but pore filling primer, I'm going to use the e.l.f. poreless putty. This is the original one. I don't really see the need for me personally to get the dewy or the mattifying version, so I'm just going to stick to what I know and use the original. And I'm just going to place this in my T-zone. Just really want to fill in these pores that are just so big right now. And really blend that in. Now that everything is nice and set, we can move into foundation. Now, foundation for today is really what kind of sets me back into like the old days, and it's really going to be interesting to me to see how I feel about it now versus how I felt about it then. Although I don't feel like I really knew too much about anything when I first started in makeup, just like pretty much anybody else, I'm sure, who's a beginner and doesn't really know what they're doing or doesn't really have their footing. But now that I'm a little bit more experienced, I am gonna let you guys know how I feel about this. So this is the Maybelline Matte and Poreless Foundation. It's great for normal to oily skin tones, and we're gonna dive right in. I did pick up the shade 312, which is Golden Dore. Now, I chose this shade because, for one, the shade above it was a little too dark to me, and the shade below it pulled a little bit too red pinky toned. At least that's what it looked like to me, because obviously we cannot swatch or try anything on in store due to lovely COVID. So I went ahead and picked this one up. Hopefully it works. So I'm just going to take my sponge and just start applying it directly onto my skin. I do not know what to expect from this. It's actually, it's gonna be quite interesting just because I haven't used it in so long. Now, I do remember when I used this like foundation a long time ago. It definitely was not in this shade. It was in a different shade, darker actually, but that's when I lived in Florida, so it makes sense. But the coverage is there. It's not like full coverage, obviously. I don't see the matte aspect of it just yet. I mean, I see it kind of settling down like it wants to be a matte foundation, but let's see. I think I did pretty okay with the shade match. Could it be better? Probably, but I think this is fairly okay. So I did use most of what was on my hand on this side of my face. I rarely used anything over here. I don't know how I feel about it yet. If I'm being honest, I really don't know how I feel about it. I do feel like it's not as much coverage, obviously. Like, my blemishes are still kind of peeking through and all of that. So I kind of low-key wish that I covered them up before I put on the foundation, but it's great that I didn't, just so that way I can really see how much it actually covers. I will go in with a second layer, so I'm just gonna apply a little bit more on the back of my hand and see if I can build this up, which I'm sure you can, but we will see. Okay, you guys, I did switch over to a brush just because I feel myself itchy like right here, and I don't know why that is. I don't know if that's because of the foundation or what, but I'm getting hella itchy in that area. So I don't know. I really just don't. But it's like only in this area right in here. Like, I just want to like scratch so bad. Now that it's starting to dry down, I kind of see the matte finish of it. It is definitely matte, but not like overly drying, like very matte. It kind of has like a semi-matte finish in a way, and maybe that's just because of the products underneath it, but overall it does seem like a pretty nice foundation, and I can see why I loved using it back then. The only thing that's alarming and concerning was the itching, but it's kind of dissipating the less I like blend and do anything in that area. Basically, by me not touching my face right now, it's kind of dissipating a little bit, but it is a little alarming, so I'm gonna have to just keep an eye on that. Now let's move into concealer. So for my concealer, I did have it. I am gonna be using their concealer. This is the Fit Me concealer from Maybelline. I wanna use it again because I'm not sure if this is a dupe for the NARS Natural Radiant concealer that I like to use. So we will see. It does have like the small thin wand just like that one, but I'm gonna apply it in my usual areas. Now this is in the shade number 20, which is Sand, which I felt would be the best like brightening concealer for me. I was gonna get a deeper shade, but I felt like it was gonna be too dark or just kind of blend in, and I didn't want it to blend in. I wanted a concealer that was gonna give me a little bit of brightening effect. You guys get me, underneath the eyes. So I'm just gonna put this everywhere that I normally conceal, and then we will blend this out as well. All right, I don't know what's going on with Maybelline's products, but my under eyes tingle a little bit. What's going on, Maybelline? I am gonna blend everything out. I'm gonna use the same sponge that I used for the foundation, but obviously I'm gonna use the opposite side, so like the teardrop side of it, and just blend this out. I'm gonna blend my under eyes out because they are tingling, and I might take this off if they continue. It is not comfortable, and I do not need any more skin problems just because of makeup. I couldn't even tell you guys if when I used this product before, if it did this for the foundation or for the concealer. The foundation for sure, I do not remember like it making my face itch, but the concealer I can't 100% remember. I kind of feel like it did tingle, but I'm not certain. Let me know down in the comment section down below if you guys have experienced any of this with either product. All right, now that we have everything nice and blended out, we are gonna move on to setting our face. And to set, I think I'm gonna mix the two. This is the e.l.f. Halo Glow Setting Powder. And then I also have the Revolution or Makeup Revolution Medium Yellow Powder, which I don't think I've ever used. I purchased it and just never used it. So since I like mixing the Wet n Wild with the Derma Blend, I'm gonna actually do these two together and kind of see what we get, because I feel like it'll kind of be the same vibe. This blurs and this has like that yellow illuminating type of tint. Although I've never used this on its own, I'm gonna take the chance of mixing it. So yeah, I've never used this. It still has everything on it. So let's go ahead and figure out how to open this up. All right, so just making sure that my under eyes are blended out one more time before I go in with this powder. Then I'm gonna take the e.l.f. one first, tap my sponge into there. Then I'm gonna tap into the other one. Then on the back of my hand, just to get rid of the excess powder, and then I'm gonna go in under my eyes. Oh wow. Hopefully this doesn't give us a white cast, because it's kind of giving me that vibe. Go in on this side. So to cream contour, I am going to use the Wet n Wild. This is their contour stick in the shade Call Me Maple. You guys have seen me use this so many times. I really do love this because it just blends out so effortlessly and it glides on the face so smoothly. But today I'm taking it on a Sephora Pro foundation brush, number 47, and I'm using it to just like stipple it onto my face. And this just helps me be more precise with the cream contour, but either method really works well. This is just gonna help add a little bit more dimension to our face, and naturally we have a little bit of shadow, you know, around the perimeter of our face. So I just want to, you know, make everything look natural, of course, or as natural as I can with makeup, and just kind of mimic what our natural skin looks like. So that's kind of like the purpose of cream contour, just adding those shadows back in. And I like the fact that this brush is kind of like slanted in a way where it makes it so much easier to apply and control. So before we finish out the under eye and put on our lashes, I do want to spray my face down with the ColourPop Hyaluronic Mist Setting Mist or Setting Spray. just to really lock in all of this makeup and powder and everything that we put on our face thus far. Whew. I'm gonna let that sink in. I am gonna use my fan and my sponge to press the setting spray in. That just really helps with really ensuring that your makeup is being locked into place. Plus the setting spray being pressed into your skin just helps with the overall longevity of the makeup. So to finish out the under eyes, what I'm gonna do is take the same shades that we used on the top. So I'm gonna take a little bit of All Natural and I'm gonna take a little bit of Mugged Off and I'm gonna blend that on my lower lash line. Next, I'm gonna take a little bit of Mugged Off, just very little. I'm gonna focus this on the outer part of my lower lash line, kind of like pinching this outer corner. So just bring the top with the bottom and just really pinching this. Then as a final step, I am gonna take even smaller amount of that very dark brown that we use, and I'm actually going to push that against the outer corner of the lower lash line as well. So I'm gonna go ahead and jump off camera and apply my lashes, then we'll come back, kind of analyze the look, see how we're feeling about it, and then we'll finish off the base makeup and add our lip choice. So I'm back, lashes are on, and honestly I feel like lashes truly do elevate any eyeshadow look. I'm gonna be honest, I was not 100% like feeling the look overall, but with the lashes on, it just makes me feel a little bit better about it. I don't know, let me know what you guys think down in the comment section down below. Now I know lashes isn't friendly for everyone. It's not the easiest thing to put on. Sometimes I still struggle putting on my lashes, but I really do love a lash, so I hope you guys don't mind. But in the future, I will keep that in the back of my mind that not everybody wears lashes. So you guys can definitely look forward to a video where I'm not actually putting on falsies, but today we're just gonna rock with it, especially since it makes me feel a little bit better about the overall makeup look. Now we're gonna move into bronzer. I'm gonna go back into this one. This is the Physicians Formula Butter Bronzer Collection with Whaley. You guys know I've been obsessed with this since I purchased it. So I am gonna take both bronzer shades at the top and just use that just to add a little bit of warmth to the cheeks and all the good areas around my face. I just feel like this palette is just like so perfect just to add a little bit of warmth. I know it's fall, or actually, yeah, today's the first day of fall, so happy fall, everyone. But it's the first day of fall, we're in fall, and sometimes too warm of a bronzer can make it look very summery, but this is just my vibe. This is what I like. This is just me, you know? So use whatever bronzer you feel like best suits you, but this is just what I am into. Normally I would just go in with the same blush from that palette just because they mix together so nicely and the pigmentation on those blushes are phenomenal and out of this world. So if you have never used a Physicians Formula blush, you should definitely invest at least in one. Now, since I'm not using that, I did go ahead and pick up this one from e.l.f. This is their Primer Infused Blush, which I've never used before. This one is in Always Cheeky, which is like a tangerine orangey kind of shade, and I feel like those are the perfect tones for fall. I know my description of blushes and colors and shades and anything else is like really weird, but welcome to my channel. So I'm just gonna tap a lot of this on this angled blush brush and I'm gonna start applying it. I'm gonna try to focus most of my blush back here just because I've been liking that vibe recently. It just, I don't know, it gives it a different look and I just really like pushing it back here versus being like right here on the apples of my cheeks. I'm just so into this. Considering this is my first time using this blush, I have to say I am all the way into it. It is very, very pretty and just very fall. They do have other shades, of course. That one isn't the only one, but I do feel like this is perfect for fall. Like, I'm all here for the orange vibes. But I will go back and pick up more shades just because I just really like it. It's very pigmented and very affordable. So go get you some blushes, girl, because I'm all here for it. I think it's safe to say I am in a good place right now when it comes to my makeup. I'm really in a good place. You really have to get through the rough parts to get to the good parts. So now I'm gonna go in with a little bit of highlighter. This one is from Koki. I have used it once before on my channel. So I'm gonna use it again. It is in the shade Heavenly, and it's just like this nice gold. I am gonna use my highlighting brush to apply this. And I'm not gonna apply too much because I feel like when it comes to fall, highlight just makes it look more summery. So to kind of avoid that, I'm gonna be very light-handed with the highlight in the center of my face. And I'm only gonna put a little bit out here on the outer parts of my cheekbone, like the higher up on my cheekbone versus being all out here. Kind of like the same thing I was doing with the blush, but I'm being very light-handed and I'm not using too much of this because I want a little glow, but not too much of a glow to where it looks summery. So I think that is perfect, and I should probably stop there. So let's finish everything out with our lips. Now I am pretty excited for this just because it really is a true bold lip, or at least I'm expecting it to be based off of the shades that I chose. So I'm gonna go in first with this lip liner. This is from Makeup Revolution, and this is their Satin Kiss lip liner in Thank God It's Friday, or TGIF. Now I'm making sure when I'm lining my lips that I'm being very careful because I want this to be very precise and neat, only because I want the bold lip to stand out and look decent, of course. So I'm really taking my time with lining my lips. So now that we have that nice and blended out, I will say, love the lip liner. Very smooth, very creamy, and very pigmented. Now we're gonna move into our lip choice, and for today I picked up this one. So you guys know that I have two other ones like this in the same line. This is their Les Chocolates scented little lip situations from L'Oreal. This one is actually in the shade 856 called 70% Young. So I'm gonna go ahead and use this one. This is not old. The other two shades that I have are more like nude, neutral tone shades. This one is the darkest one that I have, and when I saw this, I was like, I need that. Talk about a bold lip, you guys. Woo! Now the lip liner, as you guys can see, is kind of like purple, but this is actually more like a chocolate brown, which I'm very into. Again, I am just being very careful when applying this just because I want it to look good and I don't want it to just, you know, get everywhere. I want it to look right. All right, you guys, so this is the finished and final look. Can I just say, this lip is a whole mood. Like, who am I right now? I'm so into this lip. It's not even funny. I feel like it's probably my favorite part about this whole thing. So let me give you guys a brief little rundown on some of the products that I used for the first time in a while. Starting with the foundation and the concealer. I want to say that I do love the foundation. I think it has great coverage. However, I'm just concerned about how it made my face itch. I don't know if it's the products I put on before it. I don't know if it's the actual foundation. And same thing for the concealer, how it was just like burning a little bit underneath my eyes. Now, granted, all of that has definitely gone away. It's something that I'm gonna kind of look out for when I use it again, but that doesn't mean that I would like throw it away and not use it again. I just want to see what it is that's actually causing it to do that. Now, if you guys have experienced any of that with using either product, please let me know down in the comment section down below, and that way I won't feel so alone. Outside of those two products, the blush from e.l.f. was phenomenal. I love that. I would have to say that's my second best thing that I used today was the blush, so I'm definitely gonna get more shades of that. And the lip, oh my gosh, I am all here for it, you guys. Now, as far as the powder goes, the e.l.f. one was not new to me. You guys know that because you've seen that on my channel here before at least once or twice. But the Makeup Revolution banana powder was new for me, and I don't think that was a great idea to mix the two. I mean, I had my logical reasoning, and you really never know how something's gonna work until you try it anyways. So I'm not mad at the fact that I tried it, and I just feel like it's not really the best match. So I probably will not be, or for a fact actually, I will not be mixing those two powders again. However, I will give the Makeup Revolution powder a try on its own just to see how the formula is and if it will give me something different than what I have. I don't feel like it's terrible, but it's not my favorite in concoction with the other one that I used. So No more mixing those two. Overall, I feel this look came out very nicely, and it definitely transformed itself throughout the process. I was having doubts in the beginning, but I'm all here for this lip. Oh my gosh, you guys, I cannot stop talking about it. I am here for this. It's probably gonna be my go-to like vampy lip for fall. But let me know what you guys think in the comments. Give me your opinions, your suggestions. Also, let me know about the foundation and concealer if you guys have experienced the same things I have. But with all of that being said, I am going to close out today's video here. I hope you guys enjoyed it. I love you guys. Continue to love yourselves. Stay safe, and I will catch you guys in the next upload.